Yes.
Yeah.
You can move over here right now if you want. Here's your glasses.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? It's Wednesday night. It is 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay. Hey, as you all know, me and Jill just absolutely love doing our drug talks on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Not only do we like to inform other addicts so they know that recovery is possible. Believe me, it's a hard road, but you got to want it. You got to want it more than anything. Okay. But another thing we love to do is educate families. Okay. Because in today's society, you can look at me and you can say, Bob, me and my family were clean. That may be. Okay. But you go blip that very first ring. Okay. In the family thing. And what are you seeing? You're seeing addiction. A lot of people can hide it for years before it absolutely pops. Okay. But throughout our talks, we've had different people come on. There's only one group of people I still want to get on. We've had firefighters, everything else. Okay. But tonight, we are absolutely blessed and honored. Okay. To have an officer that not only protects, but gives back so much to the community. And when I mean gives back so much, if your youth, Mill Creek, around Utah, it is a juvenile facility. Okay. And believe me, to have somebody of his stature go over and volunteer his time means a lot. I mean, it really, really does, people. I mean, it does change. Okay. He may not hit 100% every time with them people he talks to, but he is at least shaping the clay, okay, to mold that person into a good person. Believe me, when they talk, people do listen. They're going to pretend they're a badass and don't, but they do. Okay. Believe me, they do. Okay. And one more thing I want to say is, now this goes to the families that do have addicts. Okay, or do have somebody that goes to prison a lot. And as you know, I've had a couple people on here that's been to prison. One of them spent, what was it, Jill, 20-some years. Okay, now I want you to think about that. But all of them said the same thing. Don't take that one family member that's the bad boy, the bad girl, and put them on that pedestal. Because when you put them on that pedestal, you're going to be just like them. And I don't want to hear the BS. Oh, they got nice jewelry. They got this. They got that. They got a nice car. That's only temporary. Till my next guest gets to you. Okay, that's only temporary. Okay, so remember, don't put idols up in front of you that are addicts. Put idols in front of you that are clean people, and look what they're doing. And then take a look at them 5 years down the road. Guarantee you'll change. Okay, tonight I have the honor and privilege. I'm upset you're looking right in the eye. Then he's going to take his seat. You know, this gimbal thing follows me. It's going to follow him. Okay. But we have Officer Torres from the Riverdale City Police Department. Okay. They have a wonderful chief, Casey Warren, wonderful officers. I want to thank you guys. I mean, you guys are absolutely awesome. And he really does give to Mill Creek a lot. I'm going to let him get in his seat. Okay. I'm going to ask him some questions. And I'm going to fire up the other computer, and I'm going to see what your question is, what you want to ask. Okay, so remember, reach out, ask questions. We don't learn if we don't ask questions, right? Okay, let's do this. Officer Torres, everybody come on, man. It's your stage.
All right. Well,
I know you're used to talking to people.
First and foremost, I want to say thanks, Bob, for inviting me. Really appreciate it. So giving back to the community, this is really the reason why I became a police officer. I wanted to make sure that I can help do the things that I can to be able to help really the community and families get closer together. A personal story I kind of wanted to share, just to kind of start it off, was I remember I was about 12, 13 years old. My sister got big into the party scene, into the party crews and all that stuff. This was in Southern California. And she started dabbling with, weed, alcohol, and then eventually developed up to meth use. She started consuming meth, using it to the point where she left home. She was 16, left home. We didn't know where she was, had no idea if she was okay, if she was alive. It's before cell phones. She had pagers everywhere, but that's about it. And really, the only times we knew that she was okay or she was around is if my mom would wake up and she'd find that there was money missing, or if there was something missing from the house. We knew that she was coming in the house, getting what she could, get some money, just to be able to get some more meth. Eventually, we found out where she was. This was years later. I was 18. Found out that she was in prison. She had been charged with possession with intent to distribute. She had a stock full of SIM cards that she was selling, fraudulent SIM cards so that she could sell for more meth. And then eventually she went to a sober living house. And that's actually what helped her finally get rid of her addiction, was when she went to live at the sober living house. She spent about a year and a half there. Some of the regret from, it's like the outside look outside, the biggest issues that I kind of noticed was, first, my mom, how worried she was, how concerned she was. She never stopped praying for her. She was pretty devout Catholic, so she was constantly lighting candles, saying a prayer, just begging to hear something about my sister, if anybody had seen her or heard from her. And that really affected me, just the love of a mother losing a child, not knowing what their welfare was. And for me personally, I mean, she was my close friend. She was only 4 years older than me. We grew up together. We had the same friends. We had the same interests. And just out of the blue, she was gone. She was completely nowhere to be found. And during the span of that time, I really felt bad because I got married when I was 18. She wasn't there when I got married. My wife and I had a daughter. My sister wasn't around to share that experience of when we had, her first niece being born. She wasn't around, and she didn't even meet my daughter until my daughter was probably 5 months old, and we knew that she was in a sober living house. And we brought our daughter over there. She got to meet us and say hi. But in between there was probably 6 or 7 years of just questions of whether my sister was alive, if she was doing well. But she was lost in that world of addiction, just trying to sell, trying to make more money, stealing what she could, trading what she could, so that she could continue to get the high that she was looking for. But fortunately, that was a good story in the end, because she did unfortunately had to go to prison. But I feel that that's probably better off, because she wasn't out on the streets. She wasn't doing what she wanted to do to get high. And ultimately, she made her way to a sober living house and was able to find that inner strength to be able to fight her demons and be able to stay sober. And that's really, honestly, another reason why I became a police officer, is because I see the families that suffer from addiction. I see that. Some of them don't have role models. They might have mom and dad that are, struggling with addiction themselves. So now you have this programmed habit, or this, I guess, anarchist kind of mindset from kids. They don't have guidance. They don't have a role model. They don't have positive goals. They're just being trained what they learn around them in the streets. And guarantee you, if somebody doesn't have that connection, that personal connection, that family connection with you, they're only going to look at you as long as you're fun. The moment you're not fun, they're going to forget about you. So some of the things that I've seen continually is pretty similar to what I saw growing up. You have kids that are being raised, if not by the system, then by the streets. And that's what causes that addiction. That's what causes that, gang life mentality, that need to sell drugs, do drugs, burglaries, vehicle burglaries, things that kind of make you look like heroes in the eyes of those that really don't have much going on in their lives themselves. And ultimately, you're hurting the community, you're hurting yourself, and you need to find that positive role model in your life to be able to guide you the right way, which is why I go to Mill Creek and try to talk to them, because there is a possibility to go out there and be a voice to somebody. If you're supporting somebody, if you guys aren't addicts yourselves, but you can help, that's kind of on you. Put it on your shoulders. I mean, obviously, don't drag yourself down with them, but you can always be that hand and that helping hand. sometimes that helping hand might be, letting them sit in jail for a little bit or having them answered for their crimes. Again, with that caveat of, find some sober living house or some sort of help that's going to help you overcome your addiction so that you're not the same person and you're not kind of living, I guess, a Groundhog Day like that movie, right? You wake up and it's the same day over again, right? It's like you get out of jail, you're going to go back to your same lifestyle, you're going to hook up with the same friends, you're going to do the same things, you'll probably end up in jail again. Obviously, if it's not working, you gotta change that mold. You gotta find a new path, and that's why I do what I do. Hopefully, to help find a new path for these people that are struggling.
You're doing good.
All right.
He's
you're
looking
awesome.
at me. I'm
I
sitting
am.
here. He's got.
Yeah.
People, I love it. I ain't going to come into the screen. I know everybody can hear me. I absolutely love it. Remember when I said about the first bleep, it may not be you and your family, but you go bleep. Okay, there's his sister. Okay, there's more. I mean, believe me, these officers, most I would have to say 95% of you have somebody in your family too that's addicted to something. I mean, yins are not immune.
Absolutely.
We know that. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. Most of the public don't understand that, but I've been fortunate enough to stay. I've visited between police and fire departments 490. Okay, I've cooked at 180 of them. I've been on calls, everything else. So I can, when I talk to people, one of the number one things is they're going to be the first person to see somebody when they OD. You're going to be the second. And then it's the firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the morgue.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to imagine what he sees through his eyes every day. I mean, when you think, oh, he's going to write me a ticket, he's going to do this, he's going to take me to jail. No, that ain't his job. His job is to serve the community. And I think you do it very, very well because I know your chief. I know your guys' values. I know your system, and believe me, these guys are here to help you. And especially like Officer Torres here, if you reach your hand out, I know he'll help you.
Absolutely.
Okay. You will help people because that's what you do. Okay. And I would have to say 95% of the officers like you. Okay, you got that 5% who is doing it for the 20-year pension.
Just like any
Same
other
thing as
job.
fire.
Just
Same
like
thing
any
as
other
fire
job,
department. Yeah. Okay, but most of you guys really care,
Absolutely.
and I found that out. I've been blessed enough not to meet a bad one.
Good.
I butted heads with a few of you, as you know, with your own
That's true.
chief.
That's true.
Okay, but when you butt heads with somebody, sometimes that don't have to be bad. It's the passion that both of you have for the same thing. Okay, like me and your chief, we butted heads completely, that.
Yeah.
But now look, as we're talking, we're doing things.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to take this call real quick. People asking me some more questions is popping up.
Well,
okay.
when Bob brought up the story about us being the first on scene or helping, that reminded me of a call that I had. It was actually an opportunity. It was a pretty messed up call. It was an overdose. Lady called for her husband. He had overdosed in the living room. I go in there, start CPR. We do Narcan. Medical shows up. She had used heroin herself too, and that's actually the reason why he overdosed. She was doing heroin in a separate spot. He was doing heroin in the living room. By the time she came to after her nod, he was out cold, not responding. He had actually taken too much, and so. Medical came out. They were able to get a pulse. They transported him to the hospital. She followed, and then we had 2 kids in the house. They were both their kids. I tried to call family, and in those situations, we had to get DCFS involved because there's drug consumption. There's kids around. It's an unsafe environment for the kids. Later on down the line, I go to jail. I'm booking somebody else on a separate incident. This is probably a month later, and I see the same female again. She's being brought in by another police agency. She's now being charged with another drug possession. She didn't get charged that night because it was an overdose situation. We were there for life, not for the drug issue. I talked to her and I said, "Hey, how's your husband doing?" And she kind of looked down at the ground and said he didn't make it, and she kind of broke down. So then, I sat there for a minute with her and I said, well, what are you doing here now? Wasn't that, I'm sorry that happened, but why are you here now? And she's like, I don't know. And I said, where are your kids? And she said they were with a family member. So I had a minute, I sat there. It wasn't my arrest. She wasn't there for me. I just recognized her from the call. But I sat there for a few minutes just talking to her, explaining to her. And I said, this isn't the life for you. You have kids that are out there looking for mom. Where's mom? They've already lost dad. Where's mom? How's mom going to be there for her kids now? Like, is that how you want to end up? Do you want to hear that mom ended up at the hospital and she didn't make it either? But that's kind of the things that stick with some of us officers as well when we go some of these calls. It's not necessarily that it might, shut us down or because a lot of us, we kind of go through training and we've seen some things by the time that, our mindset's pretty strong, but it still kind of lingers with us. It still sticks with us. But I mean, it guaranteed it's nothing to what it's going to be to those kids when they find out that mom and dad both died from an overdose. And now there's a question. You have 2 more lives that are being molded. How are they being molded? Who's watching them? Who's taking care of them? Who's going to keep them from following that line of addiction, right? There's certain things, certain behaviors that people have that sometimes it's just in their DNA. My dad was an alcoholic. I talked about my daughter a little bit. My dad was an alcoholic. He was able to find it early in his life and fight it. And he collected his coins and everything. But that's kind of a reason why I don't consume anything, alcohol or anything like that, because I saw my dad suffer through it. I saw my sister suffer through it. I have a wife and kids and a career. I don't, what am I going to do if I get drugged down a road of alcoholism or some other kind of addiction? But that's kind of the biggest thing, is knowing your DNA, what people have gone through in your family, and mostly being the support to help them, and not really, supporting their habit or saying, oh, they'll get over it, or ignoring it, because ignoring it is another way of basically accepting their behavior, right? So if you offer help, express your concern, make sure it comes from love, make sure it comes from the heart, and just let them know that no matter what, you'll be there for them. Because I get it. It can be frustrating, can cause you anger, it can cause you, frustrations, but to take that moment yourself as a sober person and as a support system and say, hey, something's wrong. You're not who you're supposed to be. You're not doing the right things. You're not choosing the right things. And that's the kind of the approach that I try to have with people that I deal with, whether I'm encountering them on a call that I've been dispatched to, or if I see them later on, I ask them. I genuinely care. I worked in the jail for a little bit up here in Weber County, and I'll see some of those guys too. And I'll take the minute and I'll ask them, how are you guys doing? Are you working? How's your family? And then I remind them, hey, remember, because a lot of the guys there in the jail would tell me about their family or their kids or their wife or whatever, and I'd be like, how are they doing? Are you supporting them? Are you making sure you take them and enjoy their life, and you're being a good role model with them and stuff like that? And so that's kind of how I try to make my interactions, because if I show that I genuinely care, they're going to be more open to ask for help and more open to just talk to me and say, hey, something's wrong or something's not right. Can I get some help? Because I'd rather get somebody who needs help, somebody who's so far beyond the path that they kind of just are programmed to consume drugs and live that lifestyle and be happy with it.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Being an officer, okay.
Yeah.
You said to always support them when they're like coming through recovery or whatever. What would be the limit to make you, like, if somebody was repeatedly doing it, no matter what you did, and you showed them the way and you kept showing them, what would be the point at giving up or stopping? Like, what would be your point? Like, if like somebody, like pushing you to that point and you just kept showing them the way, and no matter what you did, they would always go back to the same thing. At what point would you just say give up on it? Or would you?
I'm not saying that I never give up, but I'll still say the same thing. This is not the life for you. Be like, this isn't working for you. Here we are again, right? I found you again. You have more drugs. I found you again.
I
What's
like
going
that.
on? You know what I mean?
like that.
I just keep saying it. I'm like, if this is how you want to live your life, this is what's happening. I said, what's going to happen. You're only going to have
That's
enough
real
fun
good.
for now. It's going to go away pretty quick. But I'm not saying that I give up, but it just becomes more of like a, I told you this last time.
You
I
think they'll
kinda
ever
remind
quit at that point if they're repeatedly doing it?
Never say never. I would say never say never.
Okay. I like that.
There's always hope.
Yeah,
You're
there's
very
always
positive.
hope.
You're very
Yeah, because you never know, because they always talk about this rock bottom, right? What's rock bottom? What's rock bottom to anybody, right? Like, what does that mean? What's rock bottom to you might not be rock bottom to me, might not be rock bottom to the next guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for some reason, some guys are just okay with, committing petty crime, getting drugs, going back to jail, right?
Yeah.
But what's, like I said, is rock bottom going to be a first overdose? Is rock bottom going to be friends overdosing? Is rock bottom going to be, life being lost?
I like that.
I don't know what it is. So I just keep saying it. Here we are again. What did I tell you?
I really do.
We have somebody else that's asking a question on there. It says,
Okay.
what has been the most difficult decision you have had to make as an officer?
Most difficult decision?
Yep.
Oh, man. You're making me
Now, this is
think.
dealing with drugs. Okay, people, just so you know.
Well, yeah, like,
This is dealing with drugs.
they know.
Okay, period. Okay.
They know.
Go ahead. You
So-
can answer the question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's I don't know that it's necessarily difficult, but like I said, we do get sent to a lot of medical calls that are overdoses, and primarily our care for those incidences are life, right?
Yeah.
Are they okay? Bring them back to life.
What's your number one tool in your arsenal?
Narcan.
That's right. I mean, honestly, of
Yeah.
all the officers, I've never, same thing with fire department. And another thing that I like to tell people is if you have somebody in your family, even if you're a grandparent, make sure you got Narcan.
Yeah.
Okay. Even in today's society, keep it in the car because you never know.
Absolutely.
I mean, that guy you see down the street, you might be his only way out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I do? Okay. I mean, not only do I teach a drug thing, I do drug court. Okay. I do Meals on Wheels. Okay. The thing that I've seen is drug addiction has no barriers. It can be from the lowest community to the highest community up on Snob Hill. It does not, how would you say, what's the word? There goes the stroke.
Snodville.
No, it does not discriminate.
Oh,
It
right,
does not
yeah.
discriminate. It don't care race, color, religion.
Absolutely.
All it cares about is getting you hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's true. But to go back on the most difficult call, I don't say it's difficult. I'll just say that, if somebody has overdosed and there's drugs or paraphernalia or anything like that, it just goes in to get destroyed. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But ultimately, they go to the hospital. If they sober up, they have that option to just walk back out and find another high, right? Because a lot of talking to different people, I always try to talk to them about, how it feels and what they're experiencing and all that stuff. And it's just knowledge for me to be able to kind of communicate with them and
To help the next person.
and to help the next person. So, depending on who they are, some people are looking for that near overdose point, right? Because they say it's, going to help them or whatever. I don't know.
You only get that one time.
Yeah. And
From
you
what
get
I've
the
read,
ones-
everything,
yeah.
and you know my story. I'm an ex-addict. I'm coming up on 20 years of sobriety. It's what is
It
it?
was 1,723 days. Well, it'd be
Nice.
1,000. It would be
17,000.
7,124 days today.
Nice. That's awesome.
Okay,
Congratulations.
and I died with a meth pipe in my hand.
Yeah.
Okay, and I tell people all the time how bad addiction was. I
Mhm.
loaded up an 8-ball. I knew something was going on, and I was still smoking on that thing. Okay, as the fire truck came around the corner. Luckily, it wasn't the Roy City Police that came. And I do joke with that. Brock Gresham.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I joke with Brock all the time. I'm glad you didn't come around the corner and have to see that. Me and his dad was friends forever.
Okay.
And honestly, I was embarrassed about my addiction. Okay. But I come from a little bit different time 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't socially accepted like it is today.
Mhm.
I had the lawn care business, everything else. And that day I died, I'd load up an 8-ball and I'm smoking it. The ambulance is coming. I can hear it and I'm still smoking on it.
Mhm.
Okay. And you know how bad addiction is. I mean, I took that damn pipe and I put it down like this and covered it up with some wood chips.
Yeah.
And I spent 7 days in a medical induced coma and then 3 days in recovery, 10 days total. I came home. That was the first thing I went for. And I know it makes everybody go, what? I didn't go for it to smoke it. I was free finally.
Yeah.
I took that thing and I broke it because my dirty habit was out. because my doctor walked into the room and he says, "Hey, smoke some more meth. Have another cigarette. They'll kill you."
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, here's family. Nobody knew. So it was like a big wake up call.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the number one things that made me quit, okay, is officers like you.
Good.
Okay. How do I look at Brock? Okay. How do I look at Jason Paulson? Okay. How do I look at Marlies? And say, hey, you know what? You guys put all this time into me and I relapsed.
Mm-hmm.
I've never relapsed. I mean, people look to me and says, "What? You've never?" And all them heart surgeries. Nope. In 36 heart surgeries and all my stuff, I've never relapsed.
Wow. That's awesome.
So when somebody tells me I've had a bad day and I relapsed, I get real disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on. I get real disappointed in that person because you made a commitment to be saved, to be drug free. If you want to do that, you've got to do it 100%, even if it means walking away from people.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I divorced my own wife over it.
Wow.
I mean, I will not tolerate the drug abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm on a path to help people, and that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the first half of my life, I screwed it up. I sure as hell don't want to screw up the second half, you know? And like I tell people, people will never remember what you wore, but they will remember how you made them feel when you walk away.
Absolutely.
And that's how I want to make everybody feel, just like you. I mean, when you said that, I see you haven't changed. How can we help you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a bit, you didn't give up hope.
Yeah.
But you told them you're disappointed in them.
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, I'm going to put in my arsenal to tell you the truth.
No, like it's true.
They're
Some
so
people
used to
just,
me.
you'll see them over and
What's the
over
other
again. doing the
No,
same
I got
thing,
another
but-
question.
Okay, yeah,
that-
there's more. I
that-
saw you reading.
I've been reading because they're telling him, thank you for all you do, the things that you face. It's a tough job, no matter what.
Yeah.
But I got
Appreciate
a
it. Thank
question,
you.
Kay, because like I asked the paramedics a question, but okay, if somebody overdoses, okay, let's say they're in a house and they're getting high and their friend overdoses, okay,
Mhm.
and they decide to either one, let that person die, or take them to the hospital or call for help. Will that person go to jail if they're calling to get help because of an overdose?
So no, they won't. And that's kind of what I was trying to explain earlier with the hard call or whatever, right? So there's no arrest. Like I said, that we're there for life. We're there.
So listen to
we're
that
there
real closely,
yeah.
what he's saying, people.
So we could save
Especially
people,
you
yeah.
Yeah.
parents, okay? If they OD, you say it in your own words. We ain't arresting you.
Yep.
Is
They-
it,
We're here
like
to
I
save
said,
a
the
life.
only
is
thing
it up
is
to the cop though? No.
no, it's state law. We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are there to survive, to help the person survive, to give them medical aid. So that's why we carry Narcan. Some depending on where you are, some officers are EMTs, advanced EMTs, or whatever, and they'll do what they can. But for the most part, Narcan is just a couple sprays in the nostrils, and then if there's no heartbeat, obviously we're all CPR certified, and we start CPR, start doing whatever we can. Whatever is seen is going to get seized. It will get destroyed. We're not just going to leave, drugs and paraphernalia out
can't.
there.
You
So
can't.
that, yeah, if it's seen, we're going to seize it. We're going to take it, and then be on our way. But again, if this is a family, you got kids, they're in the house, this is going on, DCFS will be involved. And that's another thing that I think really hurts ultimately families is addiction that's driving the families, the mom and the dad, the significant other, whatever. They're going to be using in the house. The kids are there. It's a danger to the kids. It's not safe for them. We are going to call DCFS because we're going to make sure that those kids are in a safe environment. So now you're battling addiction. You're trying to keep your kids, potential criminal charges, losing your kids potentially, and not being able to raise them yourselves, not being able to see them. They're not part of your life anymore. Those are your kids. Like how much is your kid's life worth? How much is that worth? Like, is it worth you trading them for, a handful more highs? Or, what's going to happen after that? And then how are you going to feel, and how is that going to help you get back to your life if you've lost your kids? Because now you're essentially, quote unquote, free from any kind of responsibility. Not saying that's a good way to go, but again, these kids are now going to be the focal point of, the reason why we're there. We're going to make sure DCFS is out. We're going to make sure they have a shelter or family they can go to.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of
Yes.
people will disagree with that. I've had people tell me that. People, you need to understand that his first call is going to be to DCFS, and then they're going to call family, okay? Because as a unit, you as a police officer, DFS, they're all trying to work the same to
Yes.
protect the child,
Mhm.
okay? To protect the child, they will put them with family first.
For sure.
Okay, remember that. But you active drug addicts, that I know a lot of you watch me. Okay, remember this. Why should your parents be raising your children? Okay, your parents should be enjoying their senior life,
Mhm.
not raising their grandchildren.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, they're supposed to bring the grandchildren over, spoil the hell out of them, get them all jacked up on sugar, and send them home.
Exactly.
Right? That's what
Yeah.
grandparents are supposed to do.
Yeah. And that's part of what I see the decline in some of these kids too, because they're being raised by another family member. They have their own kids potentially, or they have their own responsibilities. And yeah, it's exactly, they've already raised a group of kids if it's grandparents, and now they have grandkids that they're trying to raise, but they're, a lot of people nowadays can't really retire and
No.
spend time. So they might be working full-time jobs. And now you have potentially, toddlers that can't go to daycare or
Yeah,
school
no.
or anything. And so now how are they spending their
The
day?
one
and
thing
all
about
that, so.
the community, and this too, if the grandparents are overwhelmed, okay, Weaver Human Services is a great thing in
Yeah.
our community. I mean, a great thing. That's why I'm there. A lot of other people are there. They do have programs to help you out.
Mhm.
They have programs to help people that have somebody in the home that's on life support, somebody that's in the home that's going through, dementia.
Yeah.
Okay. The same thing with raising we got so much available to us.
Mhm.
Okay. So grandparents out there that are watching, parents that are raising the grandchildren, reach out. Don't let it overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do not let it overwhelm you. There is so many summer programs that
Yep.
you can take these kids to. Okay. And get them out there. Like number one that you have in Riverdale is a slip and slide.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that thing? $50 for a whole summer?
Yeah.
I mean, you
much.
take them down there and you have fun. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys got the
splash pad too.
the splash
Splash
pad.
pad.
Roy's got the
Yeah.
splash pad, and then Roy's got the community center. Riverdale's got the community center. I mean, we're community based here in
Yeah,
Utah,
for sure.
which is very, very good.
Yeah. That's
Very,
huge.
very
Yeah.
good.
Go to your community websites, and they'll
Mhm.
provide you all kinds of resources. School lunch for summer.
Yep.
There's school lunch in public schools all around.
Now, I want to
Especially,
say
I know
something real
Riverdale
quick.
Elementary is one of
People,
them.
let me tell you one thing. You see how he just brought up that school lunch program? Okay, that's somebody that truly cares. Now, I sit and I talk with a lot of people. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked with people coast to coast. That's somebody that cares.
Yeah.
When you start banging out stuff that I know about, okay, saying, hey, you can get lunch program. You're somebody that's been in the community. How long have you been an officer now?
11 years.
11 years.
Been 11 years. So
And then how long were you at the Weaver County Jail?
1.5 years out of that was.
So you got a total of in law enforcement.
So
what?
just 11 total, because I
11
counted
total.
that.
Okay,
that
you
jail
counted
time in
that.
there. Yeah.
Now, has anything changed since you started? Well, it used
Technology.
to be technology, but then it used to be basically zero tolerance. They get caught with any drugs, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I guess if you're talking that way.
Yeah, but now we ain't doing that so much. I noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how me and your chief met. Okay. But one thing I always tell parents: if you do find drugs, okay, this ain't your first rodeo finding drugs on your child.
Mhm.
I'm going to guarantee you that.
Mm.
Okay. And I called the police on my own son. Remember me telling you that?
Mhm.
I recommend to parents to get law enforcement involved, because a lot of times, and this as good as I do, I can sit and talk all day long to my own child, and it's going right out the window.
Mhm.
You could sit and talk to them or somebody else that actually different, and they have a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe you're the change that they need.
Yeah, like I
I
said,
mean-
if you do end up getting drug charges, there's apply for drug court.
Yep.
Apply for drug court, because they provide you, goals.
Oh, they
right?
do.
And they
set you up.
yeah,
They really do.
they
For
celebrate.
success.
You show up, you tell them how long you've been sober, they celebrate you.
Yep.
I sat in a couple of drug
Mhm.
courts at Weaver Justice
Oh,
Court.
yeah, it's
or,
With
district court.
which judge?
I can't remember who the judge was. It was
Male
I
or
was just-
female?
I was a male.
Male?
Yeah.
It was probably Mark. How long ago?
holy cow, it was probably maybe 8 or 9 years
Yeah, that's probably
ago.
Mark DeCarry. Yeah, Judge DeCarry.
Yeah, so I'd
Yeah.
sit in there because I would do a lot of overtime at the
Mhm.
courts, and I'd sit there drug court.
Oh, it's one hell of a
Yeah.
good program.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
gives them structure,
Mhm.
okay, and it introduces them to a whole different perspective of
Yeah.
people too. Because I think you'll agree here with me is you can't hang with your old friends.
Absolutely.
Okay, for you to be straight, you've got to have a couple years of sobriety
Mhm.
behind you before you can go back and try to help somebody else. You've got to help yourself first, get clean, and then you can help somebody else. But don't put that temptation right there.
Yeah.
Okay, walk away from them people. It's like I used to say in Judge DeCarry's courtroom. So, is this your mom or is this your girlfriend or your wife? It's my mom. So, where's your drug buddies? Simple question. Where's your drug? They say I got your back. Where they at?
Yep.
They don't got shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I tell people, and I'm gonna come right in this screen, the number one thing you can do is break this. Am I
Yep.
right or am I wrong?
That's absolutely
Because
right.
everybody you know in there that you're calling your brother, your mother, they're your drug buddies.
Absolutely.
They are your drug buddies. Smash this, and Bob will guarantee you success.
Yeah, for
Am I
sure.
right or am I wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And have a role model. A role model is a big, big thing. And you know about most addicts, you know the tendencies. I did that tendency too. When I got clean, I picked up a whole brand new thing. Can you tell me what it is? We have habits.
Yeah.
So what's my new habit?
Oh, the gym.
I flex for people. I went from worried about a meth pipe to worried about the gym. Okay. And you'd be surprised how many people I've helped at that gym too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not, I'll be honest, the first 10 years of my journey, I was embarrassed about the drug
Well,
addiction.
for sure.
And then somebody said, Bob, you should share it. You've died over it and everything else. You got one hell of a story. So I just started telling people.
Yeah.
And Mark DeCarry said, Bob, you got to come down top of my courtroom. You got to tell your story. And I think I did his at least a dozen times in his courtroom until he passed away last February.
Oh, wow.
It's been, it's been over a year, coming up on 2 years.
Good. That's awesome.
But hey, everyone, give us one more question. Somebody give us a question.
There's not very many questions. Like I've been asking, but like somebody says, I'm grateful for the officers that showed up when I got shot the days in 2014. You guys saved my life.
Awesome.
So
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to ask him one more question. Okay. I mean, I just love this. Okay. Now, you don't do donuts, do you?
No.
I'm just screwing with you now.
Like
Okay.
donuts?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get in the thing here, people.
Oh, man,
Let me tell you we'll get right here. I mean, believe me. Now I'm going to tell you guys, don't walk up and hug the police like I do. They might get shot, right?
Wrestle down.
Wrestle to the ground. Hey, but as me and Jill drove across America in 2016, thanking first responders on our bicycles, we actually in Michigan came across a freaking donut shop.
oh my god, it was good. But
Cops and donuts.
yeah,
Okay.
And they actually had to change one. And it was actually founded by 2 cops instead of 2 firemen. Everything seems to be
Yes.
founded by firemen, okay?
Yep.
You got Murphy Door down the street.
Yeah.
He was a firefighter right up in.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Jeremy, I'll have to tell you the story off camera, but oh my God. No pun intended. I mean, this guy actually, he built a multi-million-dollar business down there.
Yeah.
Never took a paycheck until a couple years ago.
Wow.
He gives so much back to the community.
That's awesome.
I mean, absolutely. He's another powerhouse I look up to.
That's
He's
awesome.
another reason I stayed straight. Even though you piss me off sometimes, okay? And I probably piss him off more than you imagine.
Yeah.
You imagine having me?
Oh, man.
I'm a wild one. Hey, but we're going to end it tonight, everyone. So listen, with you people in Riverdale, okay, you got one hell of and I'm going to say that point blank, one hell of a department down there. Okay, you got wonderful officers. I know quite a few of them. Okay, their leader is a guy that deserves to be in the position.
Absolutely.
And when we're out there in public and we think of a chief, we think of some gray-haired old guy like me, right? I mean, pot belly, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what you think of.
Yeah.
Here's a chief that, how old do you think Chief Warren
He's
is?
actually 44ish, maybe 45.
Okay, that's what we
Yeah.
need in our community.
Yeah.
We need young guys to run it.
Yeah.
Okay, because let me tell you, his outlook on drug court is unreal. And I'm actually going to reach out to him, and we'll see if we can get him on here to tell his story.
There we go.
Okay, and I think
He's-
people would
he's-
really like that. Okay,
You're gonna need a marathon for that though. 'Cause
Oh, I know.
He's a talker.
Oh, I know he is. And let me tell you, people,
Episode 1 of 7. So
next week it ain't gonna be. It's going to be probably a month or so out. Okay, but yeah, we're going to definitely get him on here.
yeah.
But hey, buddy, I appreciate you.
Sure.
Here, give me a big hug.
Yeah,
We do this
appreciate
right
it.
here. Okay, I appreciate you coming. Okay.
Got it.
Remember, people, don't grab your local cop and give them a hug like I do unless you know them really good.
Yeah, and
But
they're
hey,
not all bad guys either.
and they're not all bad guys.
Look at the story we just heard. They're
I mean,
they're just
they're
like
just
us
like us.
humans. You know,
Okay.
they're
Remember-
awesome. you know?
Remember, I mean,
right?
this is something that I was actually told by Robert Patrick. Okay, we're all the same. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. Okay, so remember that. Okay, he's the same as me. He's just got a bigger responsibility than me. Okay, and it takes a special kind of person to put the blue on, to put that badge on. I'm going to tell you that. Okay, so big thank you to Officer
Yeah,
Torres
they said
tonight.
thank you for showing up.
Oh, no worries.
Thank
Yeah.
you for showing up for us. is
Okay,
what
one
you're
thing I
saying.
do,
Yeah.
just, we all know this. Okay, we definitely thank him. But one thing I do, remember, I always told you guys, Stockton, Texas. Okay, Stockton, Texas. Okay. What they do in Stockton, Texas, I tell you this every time. They prayed. Okay, so everybody bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, as we end this amazing meeting tonight, we pray and we hope that we have reached some people and we will change their lives. And that we thank you for all the wonderful things that does each every day. Please look out for our peace officers, our first responders, our fire officers as they go about their daily jobs. And I say these things, humbly in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, let's have a good night. Let's have a good week. And you know the thing, always have your hand out because you never know who you're helping up. Okay? Do that. Okay, y'all have a good night now. Bye-bye.